Doma Sports Talk worldwide with some news from the world of boxing. So y'all know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed. Boy, in boxing, WBC, it means a whole lot of stuff. The World Boxing Council, right? They were stopping at nothing of late, and it's really bad for boxing. But you know something, boxing, hey, y'all know what I think about boxing. I call it BTBG. Everybody knows what that means. You five of y'all out there that listens to me from time to time, y'all know what it means. And y'all know I'm right about it. It's not even being pessimistic anymore. It's just like, hey, well, you're paying attention and you're seeing these things. Let me give you a couple of examples of what's going on of late. I heard this news and I'm like, um, it would normally blow you away, but it's just like, I know that the WBC is rogue. I keep saying it, they're rogue. Mauricio Sulaiman, the head of WBC, is rogue right now. And I don't know I do know what would motivate him to just put his whole integrity, the whole integrity of WBC, just put it out there and just say, we're going to just throw it away. And you're going to, for what? Would his father be okay with all of this in the name of we're going to just help certain people and certain fighters and just make sure that other fighters are not getting their just due to the point where you don't care? Normally you'll be like, hell no. But if you see it in our politics, it's the exact same thing. You got lawyers that have been lawyers their whole life out there lying about stuff, right? Knowing that they're going to be disbarred and fined and stuff like that. Not knowing, but thinking, well, we're going to, hopefully we don't, because we're just going to follow this and follow the president, even though we know that these things are illegal and lies and stuff like that. But they're doing it. You have senators that are just out there lying every day, right? Trying to please the constituents, which is really not constituents, and we're okay with terrorism in America as long as it's domestic, right? So, all these things are, this is just boxing. And I think that, the bottom line is because nothing happens. If there's no accountability, no repercussions for your actions, you will become rogue like Mauricio Sulaiman. Here's the latest example. Now, we know that in the lightweight division in WBC style, the champion is Devin Haney. Now, there's a little bit of a controversy that I'll get to later too in a second. But Devin Haney is the real WBC lightweight champion. Now, we know that Devin Haney had a mandatory in Ryan Garcia. And Ryan Garcia beat Luke Campbell to become the mandatory for Devin Haney, and then decided he wanted to fight everyone else. He was talking to Gervonta Davis. Then that got close. Then Pacquiao, he was like in an exhibition against Pacquiao. And then that fell through, and then he was slated to fight Javier Fortuna, and then he got depression, right? And he decided to take care of his mental state. Okay, so another fighter stepped in, right, to fight for Ryan Garcia, to fight Javier Fortuna for the mandatory slot to fight Devin Haney, because Ryan Garcia didn't want to do it. No one forced him to. So Jo Jo Diaz goes in and beats Javier Fortuna, and now he's the mandatory for Devin Haney. And now it's come to find out he doesn't want to fight Devin Haney. So what does the WBC do? Instead of forcing these guys to fight Devin Haney or taking them out of the rankings, they're mandatories that said, we're mandatory, but we don't want to fight the champion. So what is the WBC supposed to do? Then something? Get to the back of the line. That's what's supposed to happen. You're ranked number 10 by the WBC, because if you waited all the way up here to mandatory, and we helped you, but you made it to mandatory, and you don't want to take the champion, then get up out of here. Totally. But that's not what the WBC does. Both of these guys who don't want to fight the champion have been ordered to fight each other. Guys, do you know that this is the third interim fight? Ryan Garcia, Luke Campbell was an interim fight. For the winner has a championship belt. A championship fight. The winner had a championship fight if they wanted it, because they were the mandatory. Didn't take it. Then the second interim was Jo Jo Diaz versus Javier Fortuna. The winner gets the fight against Devin Haney for the championship belt. They don't want it. Now, two dudes who don't want it is going to have a fight against each other, mandated from the WBC, instead of doing something, making somebody fight Devin Haney. Now, mind you, that the WBC allowed Lomachenko, who was slated to fight Devin Haney, was supposed to come to them and ask for a franchise title, which was brand new. We have no title, just means you don't have to fight your mandatory. And he was given that title, right? Lomachenko, best boxer we got, right? Given the title to not fight Devin Haney. That they've done that as well. Then when Lomachenko lost to Teofimo Lopez, right? They said they let the franchise title, which they stated is not refundable or whatever, or it's not transferable. It's just the title we give to a certain person who's special, which was Lomachenko. But after when he was going to fight Lopez, then all of a sudden it's transferable. So Lopez got the franchise title, which is actually nothing, just something new, right? And the WBC allowed confusion to come in by saying, well, Teofimo Lopez is the franchise title, and and they were trying to hint that he could be undisputed, and to just let it get all this confusion when the franchise actually meant nothing except that we're going to give it to somebody so they don't have to fight a hard mandatory. Hence, Canelo Alvarez not fighting Jamal Charlo, right? This is the WBC. Right? Again, so when you come to that, and all of these things that I'm saying that's happened to this guy, Devin Haney, ask yourself, have you seen one article, mainstream article, or somebody on the news glorifying Devin Haney, right? Glorifying this unprecedented behavior from the boxers, and all of them are great, and the sanctioning body against one little young old brother. Have you seen anything? Like, hey, man, we got a guy in boxing right now who's the mandatory. Ryan Garcia, you guys know him, Mr. Instagram. He's, a hard puncher, right? Left hook from hell. He's scared to fight Devin Haney. He was this mandatory. Check it out. Guys, we have another guy, Jo Jo Diaz, a rough, tough guy who just beat Javier Fortuna, who said he was going to fight Devin Haney. He won't even do it. Da-da-da. Hey, didn't we call Lomachenko the best fighter we've ever seen with some of the stuff he does we've never seen before? His footwork and all this stuff that Lomachenko does, because he started dancing at 11 years old, and it helped his footwork, and he's the best thing we've seen in boxing for the longest. He won't fight Devin Haney. Da-da-da. Do you know something? The guy that was the best in boxing with all the good footwork and been the best of stuff we never seen, the two-time Olympic gold medalist, he lost to a fighter called Teofimo Lopez, who came in there and beat him in the first 7-8 rounds and beat that fight. And Teofimo Lopez is a rough, tough dude who calls himself the Takeover. He don't want to fight Devin Haney either for undisputed. Dun, dun, dun. So who is the baddest dude in the lightweight division? By far, it has to be this guy, young, 22-year-old, lightweight champion of the world, and got everybody all shook. Devin Haney. Why the hell are we not seeing that? In articles, on news, everybody's supposed to be inviting this guy, right? And then the next week you invite Demetrius Andrade or another Negro League fighter that's not getting fight, because they're out there. This is ridiculous, but he's getting away with it. At this point, anybody WBC, whatever. WBC is we be canceling good fights. We be canceling all the good fights. Matter of fact, the best fight that I want to see, I'm going to tell you, in boxing right now, to be honest with you, because the other ones, I can't wish for them, so I'm sick of them all of wishing, is Clarissa Shields versus Savannah Marshall. If you ask me, then they're getting closer because Savannah Marshall and Clarissa Shields have signed to Sky Sports over there in England. So that fight's going to probably happen within about 6 to 9 months. That fight's going to happen because they're going to fight. Each of them going to have a little fight here in the next, say, month or so. And then they're going to fight on the same card to build it up. And then after that, they're going to fight. That's the biggest fight to happen because all the other ones ain't happening. We could say, well, that ain't as big as the undisputed fight in heavyweight. We ain't getting it. That ain't as big as the undisputed fight at middleweight. Yeah, we ain't getting it. So what fight, right? That ain't as big as Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence. We ain't getting it. You see what I'm saying? Biggest fight is Clarissa Shields versus Savannah Marshall, because that's going to be a damn good fight. I'm going to tell you. Right there. But other than that, man, let me tell you something. Devin Haney, he's a Negro League fighter anyway. I tell you all the time. But he's moving up there as a chairman. He's going to be sitting right next to Louis Real King Kong Ortiz, Demetrius Andrade, and Devin Haney. They sitting at the front table, in the front, on the crown, right? And the other ones are sitting in the room. It is absolutely ridiculous. The people that I just mentioned that are not fighting him and no one is saying anything about it. That's what the issue is. If they just didn't decide not to fight him, that's cool. But the point is, if you're going to decide not to fight him and you're in position to fight him, then we should all, in unison, glorify Devin Haney. Because this is unprecedented. So everybody open your damn eyes and start getting into action. And when it comes to the WBC, ignore them. They don't deserve your time anymore. This guy is rogue, and he's got away with a lot of crazy stuff. That's why he's so rogue. You know, I made up a belt, man. I made up a belt. I done raised clenbuterol levels. I done said every Mexican fighter that's been doped figured it out a way for them to fight anyway. You know, and I'm still in business. Ain't nobody really, they complain a day, but that's it. That's why he's still, you know, he's supposed to be, let me tell you something, by the way. This is what the video is supposed to be about, to be honest with you. Devin Haney needs to sue the WBC. He needs to sue the WBC. And I'm going to tell you, because the WBC, right, if Deontay Wilder didn't sue Tyson Fury, then we'd be seeing Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. Tyson Fury wouldn't have had to fight him anymore and whatever and just ignore his contract and all of that stuff. Sometimes you need a judge to judge things. And I'm telling you, if a judge would see what's happening to Devin Haney and others and what the WBC is doing, their license would be took. They don't need to be a sanctioning body anymore, because you have to ask yourself, what was your motivation to do stuff like this? What they're doing has nothing to do with sport anymore. So therefore, I think Devin Haney needs to sue them, right, for something. Sue them for whatever, right? We can figure out what for, but our bottom line is because they're not following any rules. And if somebody don't sue them, that a judge gets to look at this, so some arbitrary person, some kind of arbitration where they look into what's been going on with the WBC so they can be held accountable. Because if not, we are going to never see good fights. Look at all those good fights that Devin Haney could have had, and he's not having. Undisputed with Teofimo Lopez. His mandatory with Ryan Garcia, big fight. His other mandatory with Jo Jo Diaz, big fight. Him against Lomachenko, big fight. And all those guys, Lomachenko, Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, and Jo Jo Diaz, they would make the most money fighting Devin Haney. Isn't that crazy? But that's the time we living in, y'all. So bottom line, sue the damn WBC. Period. Done with Sports Talk Worldwide. And I'm about to hear y'all.